I feel sorry for you if you live in one of the 8 states that still charges sales tax on the purchase of silver and gold. I would be angry. Look, there's a major move sweeping the country right now to return gold and silver to their original status as legal tender here in the United States of America. There's almost 14 states at this point that either have or are in the legislative process of returning gold and silver to the status of legal money, like was outlined in the United States Constitution. But there's still 8 states charging sales tax. Does that blow your mind? That blows my mind. But it might soon be only 7. I'm going to tell you about that right now. So if you pack up the old Woody wagon and take the family on a road trip, here are the 8 states where you, yes, you, do not want to buy precious metals. Do not. Vermont, New Jersey, Maine, Kentucky. I can't believe Kentucky's on this list, but Kentucky, Wisconsin, that surprises me as well, Hawaii, New Mexico, and Mississippi. But Mississippi has some legislation pending to remove the sales tax on gold and silver. Let's briefly dig into the details of what they're working on. And do you find it confounding that they even charge sales tax on precious metals? It's super interesting when you think about it. We're going to talk about that a little more toward the end of the video. But when it comes to this Mississippi legislation, I've got an article here by Mike Mahari from the 10th Amendment Center. It says this week, 2 bills that would make a sales tax exemption on the sale of gold and silver bullion and coins passed their respective House and Senate committees. This is in Mississippi. This is out of Jackson, Mississippi. Passage into law would relieve some of the tax burdens on investors and would also eliminate one barrier to using gold and silver in everyday transactions. So that's the way this has to work, guys. First, you got to get rid of the crazy sales tax on gold and silver. And then next, like the other 14 states that are further along the line, then you restore gold and silver as real money within the individual states. Mr. Mahari goes on to say, this is a foundational step for people to undermine the Federal Reserve's monopoly on money. And I keep pointing out, maybe he should just take out the "on" and call it the Federal Reserve's monopoly money. No taxes, no admission charge for you. As a matter of fact, you're a gold card holder here in Ron's Basement. You're always welcome here. I hope you decide to come back. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Have you ever been to Mississippi? I drive all the way through the state every year, so I know what I'm talking about. We drive from St. Louis down to Orange Beach, Alabama, every year for the last 10 years. I love Mississippi. We usually stay somewhere around a little town called Tupelo, which is where Elvis Presley was born. It's a wonderful state, but I was thinking as I drive across the state, and I've transversed it now at least 20 times, I mean the entire state, I don't ever remember seeing any coin shops. I saw a lot of gas stations, Kentucky Fried Chickens, McDonald's, that type of thing, and met a lot of really awesome people. I love Mississippi. I've actually thought as I drive through there, something in my gut, and I've talked about this, I trust my gut, says someday I might just live in Mississippi. But nonetheless, there's no coin shops that I see. And that would make sense, right? If you lived in Mississippi, wouldn't you go to an adjacent state that doesn't have a sales tax on silver and gold? But I bet when this bill gets passed, there'll be more availability for the citizens of Mississippi to buy silver and gold. And hey, look, that'll create more demand for the precious metals. Enough of my vacation stories. Let's get back to this movement, gold and silver sweeping the country. Currently, 42 states have eliminated sales tax. 42 have eliminated sales tax on gold and silver bullion. Repealing sales taxes on precious metal bullion takes a step toward treating gold and silver as money instead of commodities. Taxes on precious metal bullion erect barriers to using gold and silver as money by raising transaction cost. A Sound Money Defense League policy director, J.P. Cortez, testified during a committee hearing on a similar bill in Wyoming in 2018. I thought this was very interesting. He charged that taxes on money itself is beyond the pale. Do you know what that means, beyond the pale? Because I had an idea when I read it, but I had to Google it. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you right now, beyond the pale means outside the bounds of acceptable behavior. And isn't that true? I mean, does it make sense to tax money, to tax gold and silver? Gold and silver are more money than any other fiat currency, right? We know that. They're at the bottom of the support, the pyramid, the extras pyramid. Gold and silver are money. How could you tax money? That'd be like taxing dollars. That'd be like going into the grocery store. They say, giving them a $5 bill and wanting change, and they say, oh, we have to charge you a 7% tax on that. It makes no sense. It says here, in effect, states that collect taxes on purchases of precious metals are inherently saying gold and silver are not money at all. Here's what Ron Paul said. He said, we ought not to tax money. And that's a good idea. It makes no sense to tax money, the former U.S. rep said during the testimony in support of a bill in Arizona that repealed the capital gains tax on gold and silver in that state. Paper is not money. It's fraud, is what former politician Ron Paul had to say. And that's what all of this legislation is doing, helping American citizens on a state-by-state basis regain their constitutional rights to use gold and silver as money, as legal tender. Our founding fathers laid this out for us. It's not anything new. It's us regaining, reclaiming that right. Now, when it comes to the states that have actually gone all the way and passed legislation to make gold and silver real money, there's some common themes. One of which is, of course, it reestablishes gold and silver as legal tender. Another one is it eliminates the capital gains tax, which again is crazy to tax somebody on a value of money, because it is the money. It is the value. The third, a lot of them are facilitating, putting things in place to facilitate in more modern terms the use of gold and silver for transactional purposes. And interestingly, in states like Missouri, where the legislation is pending, they're even stipulating that a certain percent of certain reserve funds for the state be held in precious metals. In Missouri, according to my calculations, that would be almost $10 million worth of gold and silver that would need to be purchased. So what do you think about all this? Does your state charge sales tax on precious metals? Where are they in the process of letting you regain your rights to use gold and silver as money, to regain your rights to have gold and silver as legal tender? You know, it got me thinking when it comes to gold and silver, the original money, that, you know, it's okay to pay taxes in money, in gold and silver, if I need to pay my taxes, and I'm happy to pay my fair share, but it's not fair to charge taxes on money, which is the case in many places around the country right now. And let me know what you think about this last point. I was also thinking, like, you know, actually, it would be more fair for us to get to charge the government taxes for the inconvenience we have to go through to convert our fiat paper money into real money. We should be able to charge them a tax. Well, you know, maybe that'll be the next step. I'm not counting on it, but to me, that does make sense. Let me know what you think. Thank you for joining me here in the basement. You know you are always welcome. This is an interesting journey on which we find ourselves. I'll be here with you through it all. I'll see you next time. Watch another video.